In this episode, we're going to explore why sleep is perhaps the most powerful anti-aging and health optimization tool at our disposal.
Welcome to the Ultra Healthy Now podcast, where your journey to feeling younger, sexier, and more energized begins. Dr. Nicole Srednicki, who specializes in high-performance health, will dive into practical, actionable tips and strategies that can transform your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Join us as we uncover the secrets to living a healthier, happier life, mind, body, and spirit. Because true health, beauty, and happiness start on the inside.
What if I told you the single most powerful tool for optimizing your health, extending your lifespan, and enhancing your performance is something you're already doing, but not well enough? Sleep is like compound interest for your health. The better you invest in it, the greater the returns. And yet, in today's 24/7 culture, sleep is often seen as optional, an unfortunate necessity that gets sacrificed for productivity. But is cutting sleep really making you more productive, or is it slowly killing you? Hello, and welcome to Ultra Healthy Now, the weekly podcast where we dive into the journey of maximizing your health potential. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Srednicki, founder of Ultra Healthy Human, where we specialize in high-performance health for high-performance people. Did you know that after just one night of poor sleep, your body experiences increased cortisol levels, insulin resistance, and a drop in growth hormone? Long-term sleep deprivation is linked to everything from weight gain to Alzheimer's disease to not just feeling great. So why are so many people struggling with sleep? Why is it that in an age of advanced medicine, blue light blocking glasses, and sleep tracking devices, people are still tossing and turning at night? And here's an even bigger question. If billionaires and elite athletes are obsessing over optimizing their sleep, why aren't you? We're going to get into my patient's story today, Robert. But first, I want to welcome you to our deep dive on sleep and functional medicine. In this episode, we're going to explore why sleep is perhaps the most powerful anti-aging and health optimization tool at our disposal. We're going to unpack what happens when you don't get enough sleep, why sleep deprivation has become a modern epidemic, and examine the root causes of sleep disruptions, from the obvious culprits like stress and poor sleep hygiene to the lesser known factors like gut health, histamine intolerance, genetics, and environmental toxins. We're also going to discuss the latest findings through the lens of hormones like cortisol and testosterone, immune function, and our neuroendocrine system. By the end of this 3-part podcast, you'll understand why prioritizing sleep is not a luxury, but a biological necessity for anyone. What happens if we're falling behind, and how to optimize your hormones, including habits, biohacks, supplements, and monitoring. Why 3 parts? Because in my opinion, this is the ultimate anti-aging, high-performance tool that you should understand and embrace. So get comfortable, but not too comfortable. I don't want you dozing off just yet. And let's uncover why sleep is truly nature's most potent medicine. Sleep might be the closest thing we have to real-life fountain of youth. In fact, leading sleep scientists emphasize its unparalleled benefits. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker famously said, "Sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. When sleep is deficient, there is sickness and disease. And when sleep is abundant, there is vitality and health." I 100% agree. Sleep quality is perhaps the most powerful anti-aging tool. Do you ever wonder what's going on inside your body during those restful hours? We're going to go into a little detail here, but because I really just want you to understand this. Let's start at the cellular level. Think cellular repair and longevity. Deep sleep and REM sleep are times of intense physiological activity. Our brain cleans out toxins, it repairs DNA damage, and growth hormone surges to rebuild muscle and tissue. In terms of longevity, sufficient sleep has been linked to more graceful aging on a cellular level, such as better maintenance of telomeres. These are the protective end caps on chromosomes that shorten with age, and this causes aging. Conversely, chronic short sleep accelerates biological age. That's your inside age. For example, one study noted that people who routinely slept less had shorter telomere length, suggesting faster cellular aging. The takeaway: every hour of good sleep is like an investment in your health or your health span, the length of time you remain healthy and vibrant. Now let's talk brain. Sleep is also the ultimate cognitive enhancer. During sleep, especially during that deep sleep, the brain cleans metabolic waste products, such as those plaques that contribute to Alzheimer's and lowering risks of neurodegenerative diseases. It's also when memory consolidation occurs, converting short-term memories into long-term storage. That's why after a good night's sleep, you wake up sharper, and why chronic sleep deprivation is linked to cognitive decline. Think of sleep as the overnight detox and upgrade for your brain. Skimping on it ages the brain, increases risks of dementia, and impairs focus and that creativity at any age. Do you ever think about the correlation between weight and sleep? So, adequate sleep is crucial for a healthy metabolism. It keeps hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin in balance and insulin sensitivity. With sleep loss, on the other hand, this disrupts these hormones, increasing cravings for sugary foods and promoting weight gain and metabolic aging. And we can actually look at these levels in your blood. In fact, people who consistently sleep under 7 hours are at higher risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. So if you're focused on anti-aging or fitness, know that sleep is as important as nutrition and exercise, if not more so. Now let's talk heart health and cellular renewal. During deep sleep, your heart rate and blood pressure dip down into a phenomenon called nocturnal dipping, giving your heart a restorative break. Chronic lack of sleep means your heart works overtime, raising the risk of high blood pressure and heart disease. Sleep also helps regulate cholesterol and inflammation. In essence, nightly sleep is when your cardiovascular system resets, reducing wear and tear on arteries, and skipping that process accelerates arterial clogging, contributing to atherosclerosis over time, which is those clogged vessels. A study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who sleep less than 6 hours per night had 27% higher risk of developing atherosclerosis. Do you want youthful vitality? Let's talk hormones. Perhaps most importantly for anti-aging, sleep keeps our hormones in youthful balance. At night, the body orchestrates a symphony of hormones. Growth hormone for tissue repair and muscle building peaks during this deep sleep, and melatonin, which I'm sure you've all heard of, often called the hormone of darkness, rises at night, not only to help initiate sleep, but also acting as a powerful antioxidant and cellular repair signal. And cortisol, the stress hormone, falls to its lowest point at midnight, allowing us to stay asleep. If this rhythm is disrupted, our internal hormonal balance skews, leading to signs of aging like muscle loss, increased fat, lower libido, and a weakened immune system. We'll dive deeper into the specific hormones like cortisol and testosterone in a bit, but suffice to say, consistent quality sleep helps maintain a hormonal profile more akin to someone younger, whereas sleep deprivation rapidly ages our endocrine or the hormone system. To sum this up, sleep is the ultimate force multiplier for health. It's when we produce the youth-preserving hormones, when our immune system is bolstered, when our brain and body undergo critical repair. Miss out on sleep, and you miss out on all those anti-aging benefits. Prioritizing sleep might be the simplest and most effective biohack there is. It's free, it's all natural, and the results are backed by mountains of research. When I was doing my fellowship in anti-aging medicine, one of the first things that I learned about was sleep quality, and it's like the first step in any anti-aging or functional medicine protocol. So the verdict is clear. If you want to feel younger, sharper, and truly optimize your health, you must value your sleep. It is during those nightly hours that you literally recharge your vitality for the next day and long term. Now that we've established why sleep is so powerful, let's examine what can go wrong with our sleep and why so many people struggle to get the quality rest they need. Let's talk about Robert, a 62-year-old entrepreneur and self-described workhorse. Robert spent the past 30 years building his businesses, often at the expense of sleep. He proudly got about 8 hours of sleep nightly, calling himself an early riser who would stay up until midnight and then pop up at 5 a.m. to get a jump on the day. This routine, he believed, helped him outperform competitors. And for a while, it seemed to be true. But as Robert entered his 50s and 60s, things changed. Youngsters, that you need to think about this. It catches up with you. This is something I always tell my young patients all the time. And it goes for much more than just sleep. When you're young, you're resilient, but slowly it catches up with you. Think of your body like a brand new rubber band. It's flexible, strong, and able to handle stress without breaks. When you're young, you can stretch yourself thin with poor sleep, bad food, and stress, and you'll snap right back. But over time, with repeated wear and tear, that rubber band starts to dry out and lose its elasticity. Small cracks form, and one day, instead of bouncing back, it snaps. That's aging. Your body absorbs the damage for years, but eventually it catches up with you. And so the key is taking care of that rubber band before it gets too brittle. So Robert started each morning feeling exhausted instead of refreshed. Coffee consumption went from 1 cup to 2 to 4 cups by the afternoon. He noticed brain fog, and that creative spark he once had was dimming. Names and appointments slipped his memory. By evening, he was so fatigued he felt almost nauseous. Yet paradoxically, he often couldn't fall asleep easily. He would toss and turn for an hour despite feeling dead tired. Or he would conk out immediately, only to wake up at 3 a.m. with his mind racing about work, problems, feeling his heart lightly pounding, the classic stress insomnia. Many nights he would lay awake from 3 to 5 a.m., then finally drift off just before the alarm. A pattern was emerging. Fragmented, shallow sleep was becoming his norm. Does this sound familiar to you? Over a few years of this, Robert's health started to fray. He gained about 25 pounds, mostly around his belly. Besides, he had no changes in his diet, and he was perplexed why this was happening. His blood pressure was creeping up, which resulted him needing a blood pressure medication. His routine lab work showed elevated blood sugars, which now put him in the pre-diabetic range. And Robert's wife noticed irritability had increased. He was more short-tempered and emotionally volatile, which was uncharacteristic. He caught colds frequently, and they seemed to hit him harder than before. Even after they resolved, he reported never quite feeling 100%, always a bit run down. Perhaps most troubling for Robert was libido and sexual function. It had declined. In his 40s and 50s, he felt virile and energetic, but now in his early 60s, he felt old. Morning erections were rare and sexual interest was low. This struck at his identity and confidence. Robert assumed that this was just a normal part of aging catching up with him. After all, he was in his 60s. I personally don't like to hear when patients say this. Finally, after some prodding from his wife, he came to see me. He learned that much of what he was experiencing could be linked to his chronic lack of quality sleep. During our first visit, he had questions. He asked, "What causes sleep disruption?" So I explained. Despite sleep's importance, we're in the midst of sleep deprivation epidemic. Why is restorative sleep so elusive for so many? In functional medicine, we always ask, what's the root cause? Here, there are multiple answers, so let's break it down into 2 categories. Common culprits that fragment or reduce sleep, the obvious factors that many of us experience, and the uncommon or hidden causes that often fly under the radar but can seriously disrupt sleep quality. So, some common causes of poor sleep: chronic stress and hyperarousal, In our always on society, stress is enemy number one for sleep. When you go to bed with your mind racing or carry anxiety from the day, your body may be in that fight or flight mode, pumping out cortisol and adrenaline that counteracts the natural relaxation needed to fall asleep. Emotional stress, work pressure, or late night worrying can raise your cortisol levels at the wrong time. Normally, cortisol should be high in the morning when you wake up, and then throughout the day, it starts to trend down. But if you're stressed at night, you might have a tired and wired feeling, exhausted, but unable to turn off your brain. This is a classic recipe for insomnia. Stress can also cause frequent awakenings, and this can shorten your deep sleep. He said, "Oh my God, that's me." I was glad that he recognized this, but there could be more to uncover. Let's talk about sleep sabotage. Sleep hygiene refers to the behaviors and environmental factors that influence sleep. Many of us unknowingly sabotage our sleep with modern habits. Excessive evening screen time. Using phones, tablets, or laptops late at night exposes you to blue light that suppresses melatonin production in the brain. Even dim light can delay our circadian clock. Blue wavelengths light is especially potent at keeping the brain alert and preventing the normal rise of melatonin that makes us sleepy. For example, Harvard researchers found that 6.5 hours of blue light exposure in the evening, such as from LED screens, suppressed melatonin for twice as long as similar exposure to green light. And the result, your body thinks that it's daytime long into the night, making it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. Then we have irregular schedules. Our bodies crave consistency. Frequently changing your bedtime or wake up confuses the circadian rhythm. If you stay up late or sleep in drastically different times on the weekends versus weekdays, or you work night shift, it's akin to constant social jet lag. This can lead to Sunday night insomnia and morning grogginess as your internal clock struggles to adjust. Then there's many people's favorite, caffeine, alcohol, and then your diet. Consuming caffeine in the afternoon or evening is a common sleep disruptor. Caffeine is a stimulant that can stay in your system for 6 to 8 hours or more, reducing deep sleep even if you fall asleep on time. Alcohol may make you drowsy initially, but as it's metabolized, it fragments sleep and suppresses REM, often causing those 3 a.m. wake ups when the sedative effect wears off. So, for those of you like Robert who thought, oh, well, drinking some wine helps me go to sleep, it might make you initially fall asleep, but you're really not getting that quality sleep. Eating heavy meals or spicy food late at night can also cause indigestion or acid reflux that disrupts sleep. Even being slightly dehydrated can impair sleep continually. Then, lack of a wind down routine. Many people go straight from working or on the go and watching intense TV to trying to sleep without giving the mind and body time to transition. Without a calming pre bed routine, you may not physiologically be ready to sleep. And this can lead to tossing and turning while your mind processes the day's information. Now let's talk your environment. Light, noise, and temperature. A bedroom that is too bright, noisy, or warm will prevent deep sleep. Our bodies sleep best in a dark, quiet, and in cool conditions. For example, 65 degrees is the ideal sleep temperature, even though it's freezing. Street lights or LED alarm clocks and noisy neighbors or traffic and a hot room are common culprits that will reduce sleep quality. But sometimes we're doing all the right things. So then what? Sometimes a health issue is directly causing the sleep problems. So you've probably heard of something called sleep apnea, a very common culprit, yet underdiagnosed condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. This leads to loud snoring, choking awakenings, and fragmented non restorative sleep, even if the person doesn't remember waking up. Sleep apnea causes severe daytime fatigue and is linked with high blood pressure and heart problems. If someone has unexplained daytime sleepiness, apnea is often a suspect. Chronic pain or illness, conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, or any chronic pain syndrome naturally can make it hard for you to sleep. Pain signals can wake the brain or prevent deep sleep phases. Similarly, illnesses that cause nighttime symptoms like asthma with nighttime wheezing, or GERD that's causing heartburn when laying down, or menopausal symptoms like hot flashes will disrupt sleep. Frequent urination. Many older adults get up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom, whether from prostate issues, overactive bladder, or even just drinking too much fluid at night. These awakenings will fragment your sleep architecture. Then there's something called restless leg syndrome or periodic limb movement disorder, which are neurological conditions that cause uncomfortable sensations or involuntary leg movements or twitches during the night. Many people suffer from anxiety and depression, which often can disturb sleep. Anxiety makes it hard to fall asleep, and depression can cause early morning awakenings or, paradoxically, excessive sleep that is unrefreshing. There's a bidirectional relationship. Insomnia can also increase risks of developing mood disorders. These common causes often overlap. For example, someone with high stress might start drinking coffee late to cope with fatigue, then have a glass of wine to unwind, which then fragments their sleep, leading to more stress, a vicious cycle. You know anyone like that? Part of the functional medicine is untangling these factors for each client. Next, let's uncover some overlooked causes of sleep issues, which can be uncommon. Beyond the unusual suspects, there are hidden factors that can significantly disturb sleep, which standard approaches might miss. Let's shed light on a few. Gut health and the microbiome. It might surprise you, but your gut can influence your sleep. The digestive system and its trillions of bacteria, or the microbiome, communicate with our brain, the gut-brain axis, and even help produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA that affect your sleep regulation. Gut inflammation or dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of gut bacteria, can lead to sleep disturbances via multiple pathways. For example, an unhealthy gut can increase systemic inflammation and stress hormones that disrupt sleep. Research suggests that people with more diverse and balanced gut microbiota tend to have better sleep quality. One study found that gut microbiome diversity correlated with increased sleep efficiency and total sleep time. Conditions like irritable bowel syndrome or IBS or SIBO, which you may have heard of, often coincide with insomnia, possibly because gut discomfort or night inflammation signals to the brain to prevent deep sleep. Furthermore, the gut produces a large portion of the body's serotonin, which is a precursor to melatonin, and an imbalanced gut could alter serotonin levels, thus lowering melatonin synthesis at night. Functional medicine looks at the gut health as a foundation. Healing the gut through diet changes, probiotics, etc., can often improve sleep as a welcomed side effect. So, if you have persistent sleep issues, it may be worth assessing your digestive health. Next, let's talk about histamine intolerance and mast cell activation. Sounds deep, but this is actually something that can affect a lot of people. Histamine is a well-known molecule involved in allergies. It's why we take antihistamines for allergies, but it's also a neurotransmitter that plays a role in wakefulness. In the brain, histamine release promotes alertness and keeps us awake. Normally, histamine levels in the brain should be low at night. However, some people have chronically elevated histamine or the mast cell activation that causes excess histamine release. Histamine intolerance, where the body cannot break down histamine properly, can lead to symptoms like headaches, flushing, nasal congestion, and importantly, insomnia, especially in the middle of the night awakenings or very early morning awakenings with an alert, wired feeling. This can happen because histamine from immune cells can cross into the brain or trigger wakeful circuits. In fact, research in animals shows that histamine released by brain mast cells powerfully promotes wakefulness. People with mast cell activation syndrome or allergic conditions often report poor sleep. Even certain foods high in histamine, like fermented foods or aged cheeses or wine, eaten too close to bedtime, can trigger insomnia in sensitive individuals. If you have unexplained insomnia along with allergy like symptoms or food sensitivities, histamine intolerance could be a factor. Natural antihistamine supplements like quercetin or a low histamine diet in the evening may help such cases. But as I say, check your levels. You can look at your histamine levels in your blood. The key point, uncontrolled histamine surges can literally signal your brain to stay awake. It's an uncommon, but it's real issue for some. Now let's talk about genetics for a second. Some aspects of sleep are hardwired. There's a gene, DEC2, identified in few families that allows them to thrive on only 5 hours of sleep. It's kind of interesting, but this short sleeper mutation is extremely rare. For most of us, needing 7 to 8 hours is genetically set. Additionally, certain genetic polymorphisms can impact how you metabolize caffeine. Slow metabolizers are more affected by caffeine and should avoid it later in the day, or whether you're prone to insomnia under stress, genes affecting cortisol sensitivity, or neurotransmitters. While we can't change our genes, knowing the tendencies and looking at genetic makeup can help us tailor your sleep strategy, an approach very much in line with personalized functional medicine. Something you often hear me talk about is our environment. Toxins and mold in our environment are hidden factors that can wreak havoc in your sleep. Mold spores and their mycotoxins can inflame the brain and disrupt neurotransmitters. Heavy metals like mercury and lead accumulate in your body and can also disrupt the nervous system and hormone balances that affect sleep. Even chemical toxins like pesticides have been implicated in hormone disruption, potentially affecting melatonin or thyroid function, which in turn impairs sleep. Environmental toxins can also indirectly cause sleep trouble by burdening the liver. Sometimes people with liver congestion wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. regularly, corresponding to this liver detox cycle. In functional medicine, I want to understand my patient's home and work environments for sources of toxin exposure when a patient has stubborn sleep issues. Detoxifying the body and improving environment can lead to significant improvement in sleep quality. Electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, and electronics. So we've already mentioned the blue light from devices, but there's also the question of EMF radiation from Wi-Fi routers, cell phones, and cell towers, and its impact on sleep. This is definitely an emerging area. There's a lot of data coming out around this. Some individuals report electrosensitivity, feeling that the presence of strong EMFs, like sleeping next to a smartphone or in a home with lots of wireless devices, disturbs their sleep or gives them headaches. Whether or not you feel it subjectively, there is research hinting to EMF exposure that might influence brain activity. One pilot study published in 2025 found that adults exposed to radio frequency radiation from a common household device, for example, baby monitor, for 7 nights had significantly reduced sleep quality compared to those not exposed. At the very least, keep electronic devices away from your bed and turn off unneeded signals at night, like switching off Wi Fi. It's a simple precaution that may improve your sleep. These uncommon causes illustrate how a holistic, investigative approach can uncover why someone isn't sleeping well, when the usual advice like avoiding caffeine, reduce stress, etc., isn't enough. As a functional medicine practitioner, I am essentially a health detective. I consider everything from gut flora to your mattress chemical composition, if that's what it takes to solve the mystery of insomnia. It's this thoroughness that is often needed for chronic sleep issues. Wondering about my patient, Robert? So, in part two, we're going to talk about the consequences of poor sleep and Robert's plan of care. A few take home tips from today: value your sleep. Recognize that good quality sleep is your fountain of youth. Be aware of the risks. Understand that poor sleep can increase cortisol levels and insulin resistance, leading to long-term health issues such as weight gain and cognitive decline. Address sleep disruptors. Look beyond the obvious factors like stress and consider other disruptors like gut health and environmental toxins that may impact your sleep. Establish a sleep routine. Develop a pre-sleep routine to help transition into that restful night. This includes minimizing exposure to blue light and creating a conducive sleep environment. Seek professional advice. If sleep issues persist, consider consulting with a functional health practitioner to identify and treat these underlying causes. And acknowledge sleep's role in supporting overall health and anti-aging efforts. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ultra Healthy Now. If today's episode sparked your interest in achieving your maximum health potential, or you're interested in testing some of those sleep hormones, or need a little extra help in identifying why you have insomnia, I invite you to contact us or visit us at ultrahealthynow.com. Explore our specially formulated supplements, ask questions, suggest topics for the Ultra Healthy Now podcast, or schedule a consultation. Join us at Ultra Healthy Human, where your health, beauty, and happiness begin from the inside. Visit ultrahealthynow.com to start your transformation today. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Healthy Now podcast with Dr. Nicole Srednicki. To discover more, visit ultrahealthynow.com and jumpstart your wellness journey with our 21-day detox program, a total body reset, more energy, better focus, and weight reduction. Our carefully formulated, high-quality supplements will aid in a new level of wellness. Don't wait. Unleash the Ultra Healthy Human within you. At Ultra Healthy Human, Eastern and Western modalities are combined with cutting-edge technology to guide personalized health programs to help you tap into the limitless potential of your mind and body. Because true health, beauty, and happiness start from within. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode wherever you listen to podcasts.
And before we sign off, I want to make it crystal clear that the information presented here is for informational and entertainment purposes only. This episode should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. And while we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, the content discussed in this podcast is based on general knowledge and research available at the time of recording. Medical knowledge and guidelines can evolve, and what we discussed may not always reflect the most current research or recommendations. If you have specific health concerns or questions, we strongly encourage you to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or a medical specialist who can provide personalized advice tailored to your unique circumstances. Every individual's health situation is unique, and what works for one person may not be suitable for another.
This podcast is a presentation of the Rich Dad Media Network.